But in the nearby town of Manassas is an institution that celebrates a very different kind of national treasure: the Jack Dempsey Museum and Birthplace. Dedicated to one of the most famous boxers of the 20th century, the collection includes items from a New York City restaurant opened by Dempsey in the 1930s, an honorary police badge given to him by the NYPD in the 1940s, and the dog tags from his service in World War II. But one set of objects here packs the biggest punch of all.
The artifacts are brown and made of leather. They're both 11 inches long. They look like something you'd find in your grandpa's garage.
These gloves recall the legendary boxer's unforgettable rise to fame and the hard-hitting scandal that nearly KO'd his career.
This is a rags to riches tale of a champion fighter and his unexpected fall from grace.
It's July 4th, 1919, in Toledo, Ohio. 45,000 boxing fans have gathered in this city's Huntington Center to watch the most anticipated bout of the day. In one corner is the reigning heavyweight champion of the world, Jess Willard.
At the time, Willard was the largest heavyweight champion in boxing history. He was 6'7". He was almost 235 pounds. He was nicknamed the Potawatomi Giant.
In the other corner is the challenger, an up-and-coming 24-year-old with a lightning-fast left hook, Jack Dempsey.
Jack Dempsey made a name for himself just jumping around saloons, fighting bare-knuckle style for any money he could. Once he started getting a little more fame, he wanted to be a champion. He was desperate to make his mark in the world.
As a seasoned veteran, Willard is the odds-on favorite.
Willard was 50 pounds heavier. He had a longer reach. He was 6 inches taller. Dempsey was in over his head.
There it is. So the big fight begins.
In the opening round, Dempsey seems hopelessly outgunned.
Looks like a test of speed against power.
But then he uses his smaller size and superior speed to land a punishing blow.
Now watch. There's that big left, and Willard down.
Willard manages to get up, but not for long. Over the course of just 2 minutes in the first round, the much quicker Dempsey knocks his rival down 6 more times.
He hit him as many times as he could. Face, body, face, body. Dempsey went after Willard hard.
The punishment continues for 3 rounds. And to everyone's surprise, before the start of the 4th, Willard throws in the towel.
Dempsey, the champion.
Jack Dempsey is crowned the new heavyweight champion of the world. For the next 7 years, the prize fighter successfully defends every challenge to his title and becomes one of the most popular athletes in America.
Dempsey's career skyrocketed. He was selling out championship bouts, and he became the first athlete ever to don the cover of Time magazine.
Dempsey retires in 1927 and remains a celebrated figure for decades. But in 1964, something happens that puts Dempsey's stellar reputation on the ropes. Dempsey's former manager, a man named Doc Kearns, publishes an article that claims the champ was a cheat. According to Kearns, just before that famous fight in Toledo in 1919, he doctored Dempsey's gloves by sprinkling plaster of Paris inside of them.
The plaster hardened in the heat and turned into a heavy cement.
Kearns states that the hard plaster explains how Dempsey was able to outpunch the much stronger Jess Willard. The claim sends shockwaves throughout the boxing world.
Of course, Dempsey denied the accusations of cheating.
So was one of the greatest boxers of all time really a fraud? In 1919, a boxer named Jack Dempsey defeated his arch rival, Jess Willard, to become the heavyweight champion of the world. But 45 years later, Dempsey's former manager makes an astounding claim. He says the fighter filled his gloves with plaster. So was the great Jack Dempsey really a cheat? With rumors swirling about Dempsey's integrity, a prominent boxing magazine decides to investigate.
So they recreated Kearns' story.
The magazine hires a boxer and tapes his hands just as Dempsey's would have been at the time of his 1919 match against Jess Willard. Then they fill his gloves with plaster of Paris, as Kearns says he did, and wait for it to dry.
They actually let it set in the heat for a while, put on the gloves, and let him go at a heavy bag.
The boxer hits the bag for several minutes and then is told to stop. Then the gloves are removed.
What they found was, it didn't hold up. The plaster actually crumbled.
The test suggests that the accusations against Dempsey are false. Even if he had filled his gloves with plaster of Paris, it would not have made his gloves pack a harder punch. So why would Kearns fabricate such a story?
It turns out that Dempsey had actually fired Kearns for skimming money,
leaving many to conclude that Kearns was out for revenge. In the wake of the magazine article, Dempsey's image is restored.
Dempsey's reputation had been saved, and he remains a boxing legend.
Today, Jack Dempsey is still considered one of the greatest boxers of all time, along with other champions like Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson, and Muhammad Ali. And these boxing gloves, once worn by the iconic fighter, are on display at the Jack Dempsey Museum and Birthplace. They recall the popular pugilist who fought one of his toughest bouts outside the ring.